process of getting started here, and so appreciate everyone being here this evening. So yes, thank you so much. It's great to have everybody here this evening. We're going to get started. We have a few more employers that will be joining us in a few minutes, but we're going to start with the individuals that are here. Students, just so that you can kind of know what to anticipate, the employers will be providing kind of a short overview of their organization, talking about their opportunities for probably about 7 or 8 minutes each. And then once everybody's had a chance to do that, then we'll have breakout rooms. And so I encourage you to stay around for the breakout rooms, because this is a really wonderful opportunity to talk to individuals from these organizations one-on-one, or in groups, depending on how busy they are. So it could be either, but you can join after all the pitches are finished. And so that'll be a great opportunity there. Again, don't feel like you have to have a lot of preparation for that. It's just a chance to connect. And so that'll be starting after the pitches are done. And so I think we are going to get going. And then let's see, the first organization I think we're going to start with is AgCall. And Laura is here to talk about their opportunities. And so whenever you're ready to get started, Laura, you can take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Mary. I'm going to switch over to share my screen. Yes, so my name is Laura Nielsen. I work for AgCall, and I am here mostly to talk about our internship that we have this summer with the company Mosaic Biosciences. So to kind of help you understand it better, so I am employed by AgCall. AgCall has been around for, this is actually we're celebrating 35 years. We have been a well-established company that's been shaping the agriculture landscape in the US and Canada. And companies like Mosaic employ us to do project management for them. So some of our major companies are Mosaic, Syngenta, Nutrien, Belgium, and they hire us to do all sorts of projects. We run call centers for them. We do contract sales. We do field trials. And we do internships for them. And it just helps take some of the workload off of them. We take the workload off of them and manage it for them. AgCall ourselves, we have 40 full-time employees, and we have a network of 400 contractors who we work with annually to facilitate all of the projects that the agriculture companies hire us for. I see there's a message in the chat. Oh, oh, you just linked our ad. Thanks. So Mosaic is the company who we are recruiting for some interns for this summer. Mosaic has been a leader in crop nutrition. They specialize in mining and processing the phosphate and potash, which are essential nutrients for healthy crop growth, and play a vital role in the global food production. They're committed to sustainability. They're actually leaders in the biologicals, which is how we are helping to become more sustainable. Our biologicals help increase the nutrient uptake in the fertilizers, which then our aim is to minimize our environmental impact. So if more of the fertilizer is absorbed, then less fertilizer is wasted. Less fertilizer goes into runoff, and it just helps all of the growers be more sustainable in their practices. We provide, or Mosaic provides, innovative agriculture solutions through many initiatives. We're at the forefront of introducing advanced technologies and sustainable practices for agriculture. So that's just a brief overview of Mosaic as a whole, but specifically for our summer interns this year, it will be a direct mentorship program. You will be working one-on-one with the technical leads in your geography. And you are going to be going firsthand, working with the retailers and customers to learn the ropes from the best in the business. You'll spend the first few weeks really just working side by side. I mean, doing ride-alongs, going to retailers, going and visiting the growers and learning how they perform their job on a day-to-day basis. And then after those first few weeks, then you'll be set off on your own to do it. You'll be a part of our innovation. Your input is going to help shape the future of our agriculture and tech services. And you're going to be doing impactful and valuable work. You're not going to just be put in a back office doing busy work, stapling and making copies, but you're going to be out in the fields at our field plots research sites. You're going to be working with growers. You're going to be talking with retailers and just really being out at the front of all of our business. Through our history, we have an 88% of our interns do transition into full-times with Mosaic. So their potential is just starting, and that's really the point of our internship program, is to help create pathways into the rest of the positions that we have. Kind of a normal day or a normal few days would be a major part will be working with our Envision platform. You can go online, it's live right now, but we have created a platform so growers can go online and type in down to their county level and look at how our products performed on trials in the county that they are located in. And then it helps them to know, I can tell you how things work in South Dakota, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work on the crops in Kansas. So our Envision platform, we just launched it a few months ago, and we'll be spending most of our summer getting our field trial data in there so farmers can access it and make decisions for themselves. You'll be visiting trial field sites, taking tissue samples, visiting with growers, taking photos at different crop stages, and you will be attending some of our corporate events where there'll be networking, learn about our new initiatives and things that are coming down the pipeline for the next few years, and reporting findings from the field research that you've been a part of. Kind of our ideal candidate, most of you are going to fit into this geography, but we are looking for interns from these 3 geographies. And we're looking for people who are excited about traveling, ready to hit the road. You will be traveling during the day and occasionally a few overnight stays, especially for the corporate events that you would be going to. And you can expect to be a part of an active team, working average 35 hours a week. It is a salary position, so that's an average, but there will be weeks with a lot more and weeks with less. But your time will be valued and will be an integral part of our team. We are looking for candidates who have an extreme attention to detail. As I said, you'll be working with our Envision app and our field trials, where a decimal point really changes the yield results. So meticulous attention to detail and active field involvement. You'll be going out to fields, going out to retailers and meeting with growers. So it will be an active position, not just an office position. So we are looking for both sides of that coin. And I guess I haven't been watching the time, but that's what I have planned to share. We do have, I see they linked our ad. So the information about our Mosaic internship is on Handshake. We also have it on our AgCall website, and my email is at the bottom if you have more questions after tonight and want to connect.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laura. And I hope folks will connect with Laura in the opportunity for the breakout rooms once we have everyone have the opportunity to share their pitches. So thank you so much. I think we were going to try to go alphabetical today, and Bella from Ardent Mills, are you feeling like you're ready to go at this point?
Absolutely. Nice to meet you guys.
Awesome, thank you for being
Yeah.
here.
Awesome. Sorry. Cool beans. Okay. So thank you for the introduction. So like she said, I'm Isabella from Ardent Mills. We are a premier flour milling company. We actually provide flour for about 130 million Americans every day. We feed about a third of America through our products, and how that works is just selling directly to people like Pepperidge Farms, if you're ramen, things like that. We were founded in 2014 as a joint venture between Horizon Milling and Conagra Brands. Up until then, we've been kind of just full steam ahead since then. So a lot of our folks either came from both of those locations, and we're all over the United States in 40 different locations. So as you can see on our screen, we have that we're a very values-driven organization through trust, serving, simplicity, and safety. For example, at any call that we have, we lead with a values contact, as well as this is really what we focus on when it comes to our hiring process. A lot of it has to go around these values as well. So awesome. So we're actually committed to, as I said, nourishing our communities. I know someone kind of talked a little bit about sustainability. It's also at the forefront of our mind as well as an organization, especially through ESG. Some of the cool parts about working in this space is that it is a very sustainable setup. Getting raw grain straight from the farmers, we mill that into flour, and then it goes with the parts that we can't use back to the farmers to feed their animals. It's very cool. Awesome. Our people. So we are a very people-focused organization. Our CEO likes to say that we happen to be a people company that happens to make flour. From our internships, we start with an 8 to 12 week program. Really what our interns are supposed to be doing is just to learn. We've set you up in one of our 40 different locations with our leadership in one of 3 areas. So that would be either our milling sciences, operations, or food safety and quality. So what that would be is on the milling side is actually learning how to extract from the kernel to create the flour. Our food safety and quality team is actually in the plants themselves, that's going over the science behind making sure that it's safe, that the flour does exactly what it's supposed to do for the customer. And then transferring that to operations. So our operations team really sees that end-to-end process of where that grain's coming from and then who it's going to. So those are kind of our 3, I would say, disciplines for our internships all over the United States. From a day-to-day standpoint, that looks like some project work with some individuals, doing some process improvement with your manager. And at the end of the summer, we actually bring everybody back to our corporate office in Denver, where they present what they learned to some of our senior leaders at corporate. We do some fun stuff like a Rockies game, stuff like that as well. The main goal, though, of our interns is actually to convert them into full-time hires. So we have a post-grad development associate program as well. So once graduating, also similar in the milling, operations, or food safety and quality, that is a 15-month program with the idea that most people promote out probably about the 9 to 12 month mark into either an assistant plant manager, an assistant quality manager role, or a production supervisor position. As you can imagine, since we are located all over the United States, there's quite a bit of relocation that's kind of in those first 2 spots. We do pay to relocate our interns for the summer. And then once you graduate, we also pay for relocation as well to your first spot, and then the second as well. So really cool. I think the best part about this, though, is just because you might start in, let's say, one discipline, you don't have to stay there. We're very people focused with career development. So I know so many people that maybe start on the quality side and they're like, you know what, I just really enjoyed the operations space, and they promote into something in operations, or vice versa. So I will put my contact in the chat as well, but for our upcoming summer, we have currently, from a post-grad position, we have milling, quality, and operations. We still have some positions available for post-grad. For our internships, we are full on internships for this next summer, but we will be here at KSU for the fall career fair and working also with the milling sciences department as well. So we'll be for both career fairs this fall. And yeah, that's all I've got. But if you guys have any questions or anything, I'm looking forward to meeting you all. Just let me know. And again, I will pop my contact information in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that information. Appreciate that, Bella. And again, students, you can connect with all of these employers in the breakout rooms after the pitch portions are finished. So next up, we have Schooler, and so I would love it if Sierra is able to join us and talk now. That would be wonderful. So Sierra, you can take it away.
Thank you. I will share my screen as well. Right. Can everybody see it okay?
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
All right, I'm Sierra. I'm the campus recruiter here at Schooler. So a lot of what I do is I recruit for all of our internship positions and pathways positions, and then I manage our entire internship program as well. So a little bit about Schooler. This is just Schooler by the numbers. So we have a little over 1,400 employees. We have over 100 offices and facilities spread across the United States, in Canada, Mexico, Asia, and Vietnam. We're actually a 131-year-old company now. We are privately owned and we ship to over 80 plus countries. We have over 10 languages spoken by our Schooler employees. In FY23, which was our last fiscal year, we had our annual sales at $10.5 billion. We have sales of food ingredients and proteins. We had 1.3 billion bushels traded. And then we are the 49th largest privately held companies in the US, according to Forbes 2023. We're also the 12th largest US importer. So as you can see, like I said, we are located across the United States, also overseas. And this map shows just a little bit of some of our different facilities and offices, our feed facilities, our food facilities, our grain facilities, and then some of our offices. So what we do, solutions. So we have grains, food ingredients, animal feed ingredients, pet food ingredients, international trade, and then transportation as well. So we do everything from the supply chain. So getting it from the farmers to one of our facilities, and then from there to the end user. Who we serve: farmers, grain processors, animal feed manufacturers, aqua feed manufacturers, pet food manufacturers, food, beverage, and supplement manufacturers, and then also renewable energy. We actually just acquired a crush facility in Goodland, Kansas, where we will be crushing soybean and milo. So just a high overview, a broad portfolio of where we touch. As you can see, there's a lot of different areas that we are in. We also, for pet food ingredients, we have a wholly owned subsidiary called PetSource, and they are a manufacturing freeze-dried pet food plant that is located in Seward, Nebraska. And we just added an $80 million expansion onto that to make sure that we are being able to conduct product through there for all of the needs for our customers. A little bit about our summer internship program. So we usually have in between 30 to 40 interns per summer, and they range across multiple different locations and positions. So we have anything from the corporate side of HR, IT, finance, and accounting. And then we have more on the agricultural side. So merchandising, which is more that buying, selling, trading of those commodities. And then the facility ops side, where you're handling the day-to-day processes at that facility, making sure everything's running smoothly, handling the incoming and outgoing of that physical commodity. It is an 11-week program. We do help with summer housing assistance. We have a summer housing stipend that we do offer for those eligible. The first 2 days of the internship program, we actually have all of our interns travel into Omaha at our headquarters location for orientation. So you get to really meet and interact with those other interns, because not everybody's going to be in the same location or the same position. And then again, for wrap up, we have all of the interns come back for the last 2 days of the internship program. You get to present a project that you worked on over the summer to our senior leadership team, managers, employees. They really like to see what the interns got to do and what they were able to learn throughout their time. You get to gain a broad understanding of Schooler through the orientation, and then we have virtual learning series throughout the summer with leaders across the company. So you get to network with other individuals that aren't necessarily in the same location as you. The Pathways Development Program. This is a full-time opportunity, and this is for any new or recent graduates. It's a 2-year development program. It's open to all divisions and functions within Schooler. So the IT, finance, merchandising, operations, marketing, etc. So year 1, you'll be exposed to various areas of Schooler and learn how you fit within our enterprise. There's quarterly meetings at our 3 main offices. So we do have an office in Overland Park, Kansas. Our headquarters is in Omaha, and then we do have another corporate office in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Year 2, you get to personal and professional development. So there's virtual meetings. You get to be involved in a mentorship program, different development with your manager throughout the time. And then we do Schooler rotations or Schooler shadows, where you get to go and interact with some of those other teams or businesses throughout the company and get an understanding of what they're doing, so you can decide your path if there's something else that you would like to be doing. And that is all I have.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing all of that, Sierra. And again, you can connect with Schooler during the breakout sessions and find out more about their opportunities and answers to your questions there. Also, we have up next the Nature Conservancy. So I believe that Natalie is here and is going to speak to us about the great opportunities that they have. So take it away when you're ready, Natalie.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. Let me share my screen here. I am Natalie Busby, and I am with the Nature Conservancy in Kansas. I am the operations manager in Kansas. So I handle everything HR on that side. And let me bring up, there we go. I'm here to talk to you about 3 positions that we have active right now. And the last one is our summer internship, but I wanted to share a couple of other positions that we have available at the moment. We have the Flint Hills Stewardship Coordinator. Now, this one is located in Cottonwood Falls, Kansas, and this is a 6-month position that will after the 6 months move to a full-time position. This is a paid position, and you'll work with Tony Caprizo, who is the land manager and the Flint Hills Initiative manager for that area. And let me go back before I do that too and just share a little bit about the Nature Conservancy for anyone that's not familiar with the Nature Conservancy. We're a global not-for-profit company. We've been around for over 70 years, and we work in 70 different countries and impact over 79 countries. We are science-based, and we work to conserve all the lands and water on which life depends. We have here in Kansas to date, I believe, protected 161,000 acres. That includes 6 preserves that we have in the state of Kansas. And on those preserves, we not only manage the preserves, but we also work with healthy soils. We have a Clean Water in Kansas program that we're also working with. And just to tie that in, the next position that I'm going to talk about is located in Western Kansas. This is at Smoky Valley Ranch. This position is also a 6-month position. And there is housing available for this position. We have researcher housing, which is a shared housing loft there on the property. With not only Smoky Valley Ranch, we have if you've heard of Little Jerusalem State Park. If you've heard of it or been there, we do some work with the Parks Department too to manage that property. And this last one, which I think will be most interesting for folks tonight is our Healthy Streams Fellow. The location is flexible, and who you'd be working for is Dr. Heidi Mell. And she is our director of water and ag, and she is a K-State alum. And she has the program to where it is kind of catered to the position, to the person that would get the position. So if you're working on research for a certain project, she can kind of see what areas and projects with her in the water program. They run all over the state, so she can work with your hours, your location. A lot of it can be done remotely, and you could be traveling up to about 25% of the time too to do some research projects, but it is a lot of hands-on experience for you. And again, that is a paid internship at $15 an hour. And the applications are due by March 6th for this position. And to find additional information, you're more than welcome to contact me directly. You can also go to careers.nature.org and search for State of Kansas, and all these positions will be listed on that site. You can also find us on all these social media outlets. Stop sharing my screen, and I'll be around if anybody has questions. I know I went through those kind of fast, and I'm happy to send you a document that has all of the available positions, additional information, and the full job description with those also.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all those great opportunities, Natalie. And yes, students can follow up with you in the breakout room. So that's awesome. Okay, next up, we have the US EPA. We have Stephen with us this evening. Stephen,
Hello.
if you're ready, you can take it away.
Yeah, 1 second. All right, can y'all see my slides okay?
We sure can, thank you.
All right, thanks for having me. So I am Stephen Peterson. I work in the EPA's Office of Pesticide Programs. We are based out of Washington, D.C., but you'll see later we do have a variety of opportunities available working for the federal government. I actually don't know that this will work, so I didn't get to test it out with you all. It's a short video.
This is about our land, our water, our air, and our people. It's about what matters most to us. It's about people like you who understand our country thrives when children have clean air to breathe, when communities have safe drinking water, and when we can all grow in healthy environments. So don't wait. Apply for a career at EPA and be the one who protects human health and the environment. The EPA.
All right, just a quick little video. Hopefully it worked for you all on your end. So just some background first on our organization. So EPA is a federal agency based out of Washington, D.C. That is our headquarters. I am representing the Office of Pesticide Programs, which is housed in the Office of Chemical Safety and Pollution Prevention. But we do have folks working across our 10 regional offices in pesticide work, including in our Region 7 office, which is in Kansas City. Just a little background about who we are at OCSP or OCSPP. So our program regulates chemicals and pesticides, both in the chemicals, toxic sides of things and the pesticides side. I've worked in the Office of Pesticide Programs for the past 5 years. So we don't actually have any current vacancies right this second. However, if you are familiar with the federal hiring process, things always get posted on USA Jobs and they go up pretty quickly and they'll be open for a short time frame. And so I would say that while we don't have any opportunities listed currently as of today, this moment, we likely will have some in the near future. So it's good to get familiar with USA Jobs and to save your profile and your searches of what you're looking for on there. And I have some resources at the end of this that I can share with you all. But for now, just to share with you all what we do at the Office of Pesticide Program. So we are responsible for registering all pesticides used in the United States. We register new chemistries, new active ingredients, new uses for currently registered pesticides, as well as new application methods. We also are responsible for reevaluating pesticides that are currently on the market. So, science and technology and policy change constantly. So we have a process where we review every pesticide every 15 years to make sure they still meet our standards. Part of that is we also conduct extensive safety evaluations and risk assessments for these pesticides. We also establish maximum residue limits or tolerances for pesticides on food or animal feed. And we also do quite a bit of work with using pesticides to protect public health problems. Within our office, we do have staff from a variety of backgrounds. I'm currently a biologist, or my background is that I'm a biologist, but we have folks from all of these different fields you can see here, all working together and very collaboratively to reach our goal of regulating pesticides. And this slide just sort of overviews some of the big hot topics that we're working with currently in today's world. So EPA is considered the world leader on pesticide risk assessment. We do have a lot of cutting edge modeling advancements. We're always looking at innovative systematic reviews, new methodologies. And so, science and policy are always changing. And we're always trying to work both with our partners across the US and internationally to make sure that we are using the most scientifically sound methods when evaluating risks of pesticides. Some other priority topics we're working on is, pesticide applicator and worker safety. Endangered species is a big thing right now, pollinator issues, resistance management to pesticides, genetically modified organisms, and just our general, the changing climate and how that affects agriculture and pesticide use across the United States. And so, as I mentioned, we are considered world leaders on pesticide risk assessment. I'm not going to go through all this for the short time we have today. I do plan on providing these slides to Liz to share with you all so you can access these later and access some of the resources I have. But we're looking at both from the human health and the ecological side. So we assess the risk of pesticides to human health, whether it be from a residential setting, dietary risk, occupational handler risk for workers, etc. And then from the ecological side, we do assess pesticide risk to a variety of terrestrial and aquatic taxa, both terrestrial mammals, birds, plants, as well as invertebrates, and from the aquatic side, aquatic plants and invertebrates. And so, as I mentioned, right now, EPA has a very big hiring campaign out, and this website does have a lot of information where you can see, what it is like to work at the EPA, what upcoming opportunities there might be. We have a variety of different hiring pathways, whether that be internship programs or recent graduate programs. So always keep your eye out on our website for those postings. I did want to provide a few resources. Again, they're just links, so you can click them once you have access to these slides. But we do have a link that always has updated positions for EPA on USA Jobs. We also have a bunch of hiring resources that are videos that help folks better understand the federal hiring process because it can be pretty tricky and confusing. So if you all have questions, feel free to reach out to me afterwards. And I also provided a few links for some of the work that we do specifically. So our pesticide EPA webpage, as well as some of the big actions that we've currently been working on, and where you can sign up for emails for the work that we're doing to get updates. So that's all I have today, but looking forward to chatting with some folks later in the breakout rooms.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Stephen. We were to have one additional employer. Cargill was supposed to come, but unfortunately they were unable to make it. And so students, we will be having their information we will be posting later on our website. So that's something that and I'm also putting in the teams now their company handshake information as well. So we will get some of that information up later. I think because we have just a couple of minutes before we're going to start our breakout rooms, I was wondering if maybe just in general, if some folks want to chime in on a question that I was wondering about, if folks wanted to share just a brief maybe advice they might have for students as they're kind of looking for opportunities. Some things that I think sometimes as a student, it's an intimidating process, and any things that you all feel like you might want to share. So, I guess I don't know if I can see everybody all at the same time. So, maybe if folks want to, let's see, talk, then they can go ahead and do that.
I can chime in. Sorry. So again, Bella with Ardent Mills. I would say like from an intern perspective, we know you're nervous. It's okay. And we also don't expect you to know everything. I think that a lot of interns kind of get nervous with like, oh, like I don't have, all these years of work experience or etc. And like that's never going to be that expectation. I would say just making sure that you come in ready, the organization that you're interviewing with, and then even have like good examples from your own life is always a good one. So, and for post-grad, the more internships that you can do, especially in industry, the better. It just sets you up that much better for post-grad success, and even I would say like monetary gain. Like for example, Ardent Mills, we look at how many internships that our post-grads have had in industry, not necessarily just with us, but within the industry. And that's where we base our starting pay. So it's really important to kind of get out and try and get those internships as well.
Thanks for sharing that, Bella. Does anybody else have any advice for our students that you'd like to share at the moment?
Sure, I can go. So my situation is a little bit different because I'm representing the government and our hiring process is a little different. So as I mentioned, I can talk more about that in the breakout room. But making sure you're applying for the right positions that you're qualified for. So basically recent graduate students for internship opportunities, etc. But I just want people to know, it's important to let folks know your skills and what your strong suits are. But I think just being open-minded and, letting folks know that you're adaptable and eager and willing to learn something new is always a good approach, especially when, going into interviews and job applications, because you're not going to be the expert, right? But you're willing to learn, and that's where you're going to be starting out from. So definitely going with like an open mind, and look to network and get to make connections, but bring your best self.
Thank you, Stephen. We appreciate that. Anybody else want to share anything?
Yeah, I can. Sierra with Schooler. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. I know it can be scary, but once you do, sometimes those are the best experiences and you gain the most out of it. So if you have questions, make sure you ask, because I'm sure somebody else has that same question somewhere.
Yeah, this is all great. Natalie or Laura, is there anything that you all would like to add?
Yeah, I would add, I don't want to go against what Stephen said, because obviously it's different when you are applying to work with government jobs, but I would say to apply for jobs that you are, even if you're not qualified for them. I guess in the private sector, they have more leeway on what they're allowed to do, but yeah, I would apply for jobs that you're not qualified for. Frankly, the job I have right now, my biggest qualification was that I was a farm wife and they hired me and it's been great for the last 6 years. So your life skills outside of, I guess your everyday life skills make a large difference, not just your academic skills and your professional skills, but what you do outside of that has value, and use that. And it's valued by employers.
Yeah, thank you for adding that additional perspective. I think sometimes students feel like they read a job description, they have to have 100% of the qualifications, and certainly it's good to think about your full life experience. Is there anything else, Natalie, that you'd like to add before we jump to the breakout room time?
Just want to follow up on what Laura said too, that, no one's going to be 100% qualified for the positions. That's the point of a lot of these positions, is to get your feet wet, to get in there. And so, and a lot on our side too, these positions, some of them have such intricate details that the skills translate differently. So you may not match perfectly for what it's for, but go ahead and shoot for it, because sometimes when they're reviewing those managers are reviewing those resumes, you might have a skill that you don't think is a match for the position, but the manager may think different. So shoot for the stars on these.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you very much. I think we are about to open our breakout rooms. So students, you'll see the breakout rooms popping up. The employers will be